My parents handed out cash gifts at Thanksgiving saying, "Everyone gets $5,000 except our biggest mistake." So I smiled politely, walked out, and stopped the monthly $8,000 mortgage payment, keeping them from foreclosure. Welcome, family. If this story touches your heart, show some love by subscribing and letting us know where you're watching from. Now let's go on with the story. The smell of roasted turkey filled my parents' dining room, but something felt wrong. My mother kept glancing at the mantel where 5 golden envelopes sat propped against family photos. Photos that suddenly seemed carefully arranged. My 3 siblings front and center, me always slightly cropped at the edges. "Before we eat," Dad announced, his voice carrying that particular tone he used for proclamations, "your mother and I have something special." My sister Vanessa smirked. She'd been doing that all afternoon, whispering with my brothers Calvin and Devin. I'd driven 4 hours to be here, leaving my own Thanksgiving preparations behind. For the past 18 months, I'd been sending my parents $8,000 monthly, money that kept their dream home from foreclosure after Dad's business collapsed. Nobody knew about those payments. I kept it private because I loved them. Mom handed out envelopes. "We've been blessed this year," she said, not meeting my eyes. "We want to share our gratitude." Vanessa opened hers first. $5,000. "Mom, Dad, this is incredible." Calvin and Devin echoed her excitement. Then Mom picked up the last envelope. The thin one. "And for you, sweetheart," she said, her smile tight. "We've always believed in teaching lessons." Inside was a $50 gift card to a restaurant chain. The room went silent. Then Dad cleared his throat. "We figured you'd understand. After all, you were always our biggest mistake, the one who cost us the most when we weren't ready." My hands didn't shake. "Not yet. We were just starting out when I got pregnant with you," Mom continued, settling into her chair like she'd rehearsed this. "Your father had to drop out of his master's program. We lost opportunities. Real opportunities." I watched Vanessa cutting her turkey, not even pretending to be uncomfortable. Calvin scrolled through his phone. Devin actually nodded along with Mom's words. "Meanwhile," Dad added, "your siblings, they were planned. Born when we were ready. Financially stable. Emotionally prepared." Something cold settled in my chest. This wasn't spontaneous cruelty. This was orchestrated. "We've discussed this as a family," Mom said, and those 4 words hit differently. As a family, meaning everyone but me. "We agreed the money should go to those who truly appreciate what we sacrificed." I thought about the inheritance from my grandmother 2 years ago. The one I'd quietly used to pay off their mountain of debt before starting the monthly mortgage payments. They'd never asked where the money came from. Never questioned their sudden financial relief. "You've always been independent," Vanessa finally spoke, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "You don't need help like we do." Independent. The word they used when they forgot my graduation. When they skipped my promotion celebration. When I was hospitalized last year and none of them visited. "Actually," I said, my voice steady, "I do have something to say." Every eye turned to me. Mom's expression already defensive. Dad's jaw set. They expected an outburst. Tears. The emotional breakdown that would prove I was still their biggest mistake. Unstable, difficult, too sensitive. I smiled instead. "Thank you for this meal. And for finally being honest." I stood, folding the gift card carefully into my purse. My movements were deliberate, calm. I'd learned long ago that nothing unsettled my family more than my composure. "You're leaving." Mom's voice pitched higher. "Before dinner?" I've suddenly lost my appetite. I picked up my coat. "But please enjoy your meal. Enjoy everything." Dad's face reddened. "This is exactly why we made this decision. You're always so dramatic. Can't take a simple truth without running away." "Running away," I repeated softly. "Interesting choice of words, Dad." Vanessa stood too. "Oh, come on. They gave you something. Stop being ungrateful." Ungrateful. I tested the word on my tongue. "You know what? You're absolutely right. I should be more grateful." The drive home blurred past darkening highways. My phone buzzed repeatedly. Mom, Vanessa, Calvin. I didn't answer. Instead, I called someone I should have contacted months ago. Mr. Harrison? It's me. I need to discuss those documents we prepared. The power of attorney for my parents' mortgage account? I'm ready to make that change we discussed. My lawyer's voice was gentle. Are you certain? Once we stop those payments, the foreclosure process resumes within 60 days. I'm certain. And you'll send the notification letter? Tomorrow morning. Certified mail. When I arrived home, I poured wine and opened my laptop. The email I'd drafted months ago, the one I'd hoped I'd never send, waited in my drafts folder. I'd written it after last Christmas when they'd forgotten my birthday was the next day. Some part of me had known this moment was coming. From me. To Mom, Dad, Vanessa, Calvin, Devon. Subject: financial arrangement. Immediate cessation. Dear family. Effective immediately, I am discontinuing the monthly $8,000 payment I have been making toward your mortgage for the past 18 months. The total contribution of $144,000, funded initially by Grandma Ruth's inheritance to me, will be the final financial assistance I provide. I wish you the very best in finding alternative arrangements. Perhaps the recent $15,000 distribution will help bridge the gap. Peace. Me. I hit send at 11:47 p.m. Then I turned off my phone and slept better than I had in years. The next morning my phone had 37 missed calls. I let them all go to voicemail while I made coffee, real coffee, the expensive kind I usually rationed. The voicemails told a story. Mom, 6:23 a.m. You're lying. You never sent us that kind of money. This is manipulation. Dad, 6:45 a.m. Call me immediately. We need to discuss your delusion. Vanessa, 7:12 a.m. Mom's having a panic attack. I hope you're happy. Calvin, 7:30 a.m. This is a sick joke, right? Devon, 8:01 a.m. Just talked to the bank. What the fuck did you do? I sipped my coffee and opened my filing cabinet. Inside were 18 months of bank statements, each highlighting the $8,000 transfer. Copies of the cashier's checks. The letter from Grandma Ruth's estate attorney confirming my $200,000 inheritance. The mortgage company's records showing every payment source. I'd kept meticulous records because some part of me, the part that grew up being called the mistake, knew documentation would matter someday. Trust was never my family's strong suit, at least not where I was concerned. My phone rang again. This time I answered. You're a liar, Vanessa hissed before I could speak. Mom checked her records. There's no evidence of check account number ending in 4792, I interrupted. The one set up specifically for mortgage payments. The one I established power of attorney over to ensure the payments went through, since Dad's credit was too damaged to manage it himself. Silence. You had access to their accounts? With their written permission, yes. Dad signed the papers himself. I assume he didn't read them carefully. I pulled out the documents, Dad's signature bold across the bottom. Would you like me to send copies? This is illegal. You can't just. Actually, I can. My lawyer confirmed everything before I made the first payment. I wanted to help Vanessa. Quietly. Without making them feel ashamed. She hung up. 10 minutes later, Dad called. I don't remember signing anything. His voice shook, but with rage, not fear. March 15th, 2 years ago. Mr. Harrison's office. You complained about his coffee being too weak and spent 20 minutes on your phone while Mom actually read the documents. I want proof. Certified mail is already en route. You'll have copies of everything by Monday. Bank statements, canceled checks, the works. You planned this. The accusation hung heavy. You've been waiting to hurt us. Something in my chest twisted. No, Dad. I planned to help you. I only prepared for this conversation because I know my family. They called an emergency family meeting. At Vanessa's house, naturally. Neutral territory, they claimed, though nothing about Vanessa's McMansion, paid for by Mom and Dad's loan, that was never repaid, felt neutral to me. I arrived with my lawyer. You brought a stranger? Mom's face flushed. This is family business. Mr. Harrison has been handling family business for 18 months, I said, setting my briefcase on Vanessa's granite countertop. I thought continuity was important. The lawyer nodded to everyone, professional and calm. He'd dealt with worse, he told me. Family money disputes brought out the absolute worst in people. Calvin paced by the window. This is insane. You can't just stop paying their mortgage because your feelings got hurt. My feelings got hurt? I repeated slowly. Is that what we're calling it? You're 42 years old, Devon added. Stop acting like a child who didn't get her way. 42. Old enough to remember every forgotten birthday, every missed recital, every time I'd been uninvited from family events because I'd complicate the dynamics. Old enough to have kept helping anyway, hoping something would change. Let's review the facts. Mr. Harrison opened his folder. My client inherited $200,000 from her maternal grandmother. She used $56,000 to pay off your credit card debt, your car loan, and Devon's student loans that you'd co-signed. Devon's face went white. She then established a monthly payment plan for your mortgage to prevent foreclosure. $8,000 per month. Not a loan, gifts. No repayment expected or demanded. Until now, Dad interjected. Until we didn't worship her enough. That's not why we're here. Mr. Harrison pulled out another document. We're here because Mrs. Ruth Henderson left specific instructions with her will. I'd forgotten about that letter. Grandma Ruth died suddenly, a heart attack in her garden while planting roses. But she'd updated her will just weeks before, almost like she knew. Mr. Harrison read, To my dearest granddaughter, I leave this inheritance because I've watched your family take advantage of your kind heart for 40 years. Your mother, my daughter, learned cruelty from her father and I failed to protect you from it. This money comes with one instruction: use it wisely and never let them make you feel small. You were never a mistake. You were the greatest surprise of my life. Mom stood abruptly. My mother was senile at the end. She was 68 and in perfect mental health, I said quietly. She was also the only one who remembered my birthday. Every single year. Vanessa laughed, sharp and mean. So you've been playing the martyr for 18 months? Poor you, helping family with money you didn't earn. I earned every dollar of Grandma's respect, I shot back. Which is more than you can say. Respect. Calvin stepped forward. Is that what this is about? You want us to bow down and thank you? I wanted you to see me. The words came out rawer than I intended. Just once I wanted to be part of the family, not the obligation you tolerate. Mom's expression flickered. For a second I saw something that might have been guilt. Then it hardened again. You're making yourself the victim, she said. As always. Let me tell you about victims, I said, and my voice didn't shake anymore. Victims don't spend their childhood wondering why their parents flinch when they enter a room. Victims don't overhear their mother tell neighbors that 3 kids would have been perfect. Victims don't find their baby pictures in a box in the garage while their siblings' photos hang in the hallway. The room went silent. You want to know when I realized I was your biggest mistake? I was 7. You were pregnant with Devon and I heard you tell Dad, at least we planned for this one. At least this one won't ruin anything. Mom's hand went to her throat. You were too young to understand. I understood that I wasn't wanted. I understood that every accomplishment meant nothing because it came from the wrong child. I got a full scholarship to college. You didn't come to graduation. I bought my first house. You didn't visit. I got promoted to senior director. You asked if it was affirmative action. That's not fair, Vanessa protested weakly. What's not fair, I continued, is that I kept loving you anyway. Kept hoping. Kept giving. And you know what Thanksgiving dinner taught me? That hope was my biggest mistake. Dad stood, his chair scraping loud against the floor. So you'll let us lose our home? Out of spite. Out of self-preservation, I corrected. You made your choice. You wanted me to know where I stand. Message received. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat. The mortgage company has been notified. You have approximately 60 days to make alternative arrangements before foreclosure proceedings resume. Can't you give us more time? Mom's voice finally broke. We'll apologize. We'll make it right. Make it right, I repeated, tasting the words. How does one make 42 years right, Mom? She reached for my hand. I stepped back. We were young when we had you, she tried again. Unprepared. Third. Maybe we handled it badly. Maybe. The laugh that escaped me was hollow. You called me your biggest mistake. In front of everyone. After I'd been keeping you from homelessness. We didn't know. Dad's voice rose. How were we supposed to know you were helping us? Because you raised a child who helps people even when they don't deserve it. I gathered my things. But you didn't raise me, did you? Grandma Ruth did. Every summer, every school break. She's the one who taught me that love wasn't supposed to hurt. Vanessa moved to block the door. You're really going to do this? Destroy them over one stupid comment. One comment. I stared at her. Vanessa, you've been part of this my entire life. The whispers at family gatherings. The jokes about unexpected blessings. The way you all form a unit and I'm always outside looking in. That's in your head, Calvin muttered. Is it? Then explain Christmas 2019. You all went to Aspen. I saw the photos on social media. When I asked why I wasn't invited, you said it was immediate family only. His face reddened. That was a mistake. Seems to be a family tradition. I turned to Mr. Harrison. We're done here. In the driveway, Devon caught up to me. Of all my siblings, he'd been the kindest, which meant he ignored me instead of actively participating in my exclusion. I didn't know, he said. About the money. About any of it. Would it have changed anything? He was quiet for a long moment. Probably not. But, I'm sorry. For what that's worth. It's worth something, I admitted. Just not $8,000 a month. The first month after I stopped the payments, my phone was a warpath. Threats, pleas, guilt trips cycling through daily. I blocked everyone except Devon, who'd sent one text. I get it. Good luck. By the second month, they hired their own lawyer. He sent a letter claiming undue influence and financial elder abuse. Mr. Harrison laughed when he read it. They gave you power of attorney, he said. You stopped making voluntary gifts. There's no legal ground here. So they tried. Vanessa posted on social media about family betrayal without naming names. Friends who didn't know the full story sent concerned messages. I responded to each one with simple truth. I helped them for 18 months. They called me their biggest mistake. I chose myself. The support that followed surprised me. Dozens of people shared their own stories of family toxicity, of being the scapegoat, of finally choosing themselves. My inbox filled with messages from strangers. You're my hero. I wish I had your courage. Thank you for showing me it's okay to let go. But the one that mattered came from my cousin Stephanie, Mom's brother's daughter. We'd been close as kids until my parents slowly cut contact with that side of the family. Your mom told everyone Uncle James's family was too judgmental, she wrote. Now I know what they were judging. I'm so sorry we believed her. I'm sorry we weren't there. Family fractures have deep roots, I learned. Mom had been isolating me systematically for years, and I'd been too close to see the pattern. The foreclosure notice arrived at my parents' house on a Tuesday. Devon called me, his voice hollow. They're listing the house next week. Mom hasn't stopped crying. I visited the house one last time. Not because they asked, they'd stopped calling after their lawyer bills mounted, but because I needed closure. Mom answered the door looking 10 years older. You came. To get some things from the garage. My childhood boxes. The ones she'd hidden away. She let me in without argument. The house already had that empty feeling, that sense of ending. Boxes lined the walls. The golden envelopes from Thanksgiving sat on the mantel, a monument to their choice. I found my boxes behind the Christmas decorations. Inside, report cards, all A's, certificates, the acceptance letter to my dream college. Evidence of a child who'd tried so hard to be worth keeping. I saved those, Mom said from the doorway. In the garage. Behind the decorations. I didn't know where else to put them. You could have put them with everyone else's. I closed the box. You could have put them anywhere that said, Our daughter's life matters. She sat on a box looking defeated. I was 21 when I had you. My whole life changed overnight. Every dream I had, gone. And you looked just like your father's mother, the woman who told him I was trapping him. Truth finally. Not the whole truth maybe, but a piece. So you punished me for existing, I said. For 42 years. I thought I could get past it. When Vanessa was born it was different. I was ready. Happy. And that made it worse because I couldn't help comparing. That's not my fault, Mom. I know. Tears tracked down her face. I know that now. But knowing doesn't change what I did. What we did. We sat in that garage for an hour, surrounded by the physical evidence of lives being dismantled. She told me things I'd never known. About her own mother's coldness, about feeling trapped, about resenting Dad for years before learning to love him. None of that excuses it, she finally said. I chose to hurt you. Every day I chose it. Why tell me now? Because you were right. At Vanessa's house. You said I learned cruelty from my father. She laughed bitterly. Mom, your Grandma Ruth, she tried to teach me different. She loved you so fiercely because she was trying to show me how it should be done. And I resented that too. She left you nothing in her will, I realized. She left everything to me because she knew. She knew I'd failed as a mother. She knew I'd let my pain turn into your pain. Mom wiped her eyes. The money you gave us, I didn't know it was yours. If I had known, would I have been different? I want to say yes. But honestly, I think I would have felt entitled to it. Like you owed me for the life I gave up. The honesty was gutting. Do you love me? I asked. The child's question I'd never dared voice. She met my eyes. I love the idea of you. The daughter I could have had if I'd been ready. But the real you, I don't know. I never let myself know you. It should have hurt more. But the truth after 42 years of pretending felt like relief. I can't save you, I told her. Not from this. I know. 6 months later I stood in Grandma Ruth's garden. Now my garden since I'd bought her house from the estate. The roses she'd planted were blooming red and defiant against the spring soil. My parents moved into a small apartment across town. Dad worked part-time at a hardware store. Mom started therapy according to Devon, who'd maintained careful contact with everyone. Vanessa sent one email. I hope you're happy destroying this family. I deleted it without responding. Calvin sent another. I'm starting to understand. I think I need therapy too. I responded to that one. Good luck on your journey. Devon visited sometimes. We were building something new, not quite siblings but not strangers either. He told me things were hard, that Mom cried a lot, that Dad was angry at himself more than me. Do you regret it? He asked one afternoon, helping me plant new roses. No. I sat back on my heels. I regret spending so long hoping they'd change. But choosing myself? That's the first thing I've never regretted. If you've ever been the family scapegoat, if you've ever loved people who made you feel like a burden, I want you to know. Their failure to love you correctly isn't your failure. You can save yourself. You can walk away. You can choose peace over proximity. I water Grandma Ruth's roses every evening now. Sometimes I talk to her, telling her about my day, thanking her for seeing me when no one else would. The roses grow wild and beautiful, untamed by anyone's expectations. I learned that love isn't supposed to cost you yourself. That family isn't just blood. It's choice and respect and seeing each other clearly. I learned that being called a mistake doesn't make you one. And I learned that the bravest thing I ever did wasn't helping them. It was stopping. It was saying, I am worth more than your cruelty. I'm worth my own love. The roses bloom whether anyone's watching or not. They bloom because that's what they're meant to do. Just like me. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to choose yourself over family? And if you found value in this story, please consider subscribing. Your support means the world.